Over the weekend, I hosted my Friendsgiving event, which seems to be an annual tradition these days. And I thought it was a really successful event overall. I had a lot of fun, and everyone else seemed to as well. So I thought I'd give some tips about how to host your own sort of event, whether it's Friendsgiving or a birthday event or whatever. I've done quite a few. I usually have a birthday party every year. So at this point, I've done at least 20 of these. So I've learned a lot of like what not to do and what to do. So let's get started with these tips. I'm actually gonna start off with a few things that I feel like were mistakes that I've made in the past. There was one event that was actually quite recent. I think it was like last year, where it was basically a board game night that I hosted. And I wanted to basically not make anyone else like bring food or whatever, so I just bought Raising Cane's for everyone to eat, and it was enough for everyone, but it wasn't quite enough variety in my opinion. And I would ask for feedback from my friends, and they said that, you know, next time just let us bring our own thing or like make it a potluck, because overall I just think it's smarter to make things a potluck, because as a host, you feel like you want to provide for people. You don't want to make them bring things. You want to like sort of be the host, and oh, they just arrive, they come, and there's already food and snacks and everything. But sometimes that's really burdensome, like on you in terms of your resources and time and everything. And honestly, lately, I'm also in my late 20s, so most people at this point, at this stage, have enough like income to just buy something, or they can make stuff because they have the experience with cooking and whatnot. And oftentimes I find that the dishes that they make are really good, and they also want to showcase what they can make. So I know this is different for everyone, but that's just something I've learned, is to just like, it's okay to just make it a potluck. It's not, if you're a host, don't feel bad about it. I think it's a totally fine thing to do, and it usually results in having better food at the event. So that's tip number one, like what not to do and what to do. Basically, don't try to do it all yourself and just make it a potluck. I think that's a big one. And then number two is, at least for me, I feel like always having a planned and structured event in terms of, not the event itself, but like a mini event within the event. So like a planned activity, basically. For this one, we ended up playing a game called Fishbowl, where you basically have everyone write down like an adjective and a noun or whatever into three of them into a bowl. And then for us, we had 19 people total, but at first for the game, it was about 17, so 8 versus 9. And then, so total, that was about like 40 something cards. And then you just sort of play a game where people try to guess what the word is. That's phase one. The second one is you can only use one word to describe the word, and then they have to guess it. Your teammates have to guess it. And then the last one is charades, basically. I didn't explain the game very well. You can definitely look it up if you want to, but we played that game and it was very fun. It's a game that lasted about, I'd say it lasted about 50 minutes, because I actually recorded the entire thing and I remember the timestamp being 50 minutes. So it lasted 50 minutes and it was just really, really, really fun. Like having an event, a game where, an activity where all of us get together and play it in a group. And it's not like, oh, some people are watching, some people are just sitting around not doing anything. It's like everyone is together participating. And it's an activity where you also move, you also engage like with your mind. It's like stimulation for both physical and mental. I think those are the best types of games to have at events, because oftentimes, like when I've hosted a lot of board game nights, they're fun, but they lack this sort of memorability, this sort of like high peak moment that I feel makes the event stand out. So I really do think having an activity planned where you do engage with everyone, plus the mental and physical stimulation, that's like, in my opinion, a must. Last year was like the whole Nerf event that I blindfolded Nerf that was also at my Friendsgiving. So it was a very, very memorable thing. And I think like pretty much everyone who went to that event will remember that, compared to like playing the board games. Board games are really fun, but I do think sometimes they lack some of the physical stimulation that the other activities have. So that is a tip I feel that is very important if you want to make your event like memorable, basically. If it's more chill and you don't feel like it, of course, it's up to you, but that's just a tip that I've learned that I want to try to implement with future events for myself. And then let's see, The third one is, this one might not be necessary, but I do feel like I've been to events and hosted events where like I tried to make the activities really, really like back to back to back to back, like nonstop. But I feel like there are natural rhythms and cadences where there's a break in between activities, where you play board games, you eat, everyone's talking. So sometimes like you can let the talking continue for a little too long as well. So that's when you want to make sure the activity happens, or let's get everyone to play board games. Because as the host, you do have to be the one to guide what everyone is doing, because not everyone feels comfortable engaging or initiating in like, oh, let's play board games, or let's do this, or let's try this. Some people do, which is cool, but oftentimes it's up to the host to make things happen. So if it's like you have all these planned activities, try not to do it too back to back is what I would advise, because I feel like it's nicer to just have breaks in between the activities to give people moments of like breathing and just relaxation and just talking and catching up. Because I do feel like there have been past events that I've hosted and been to where it's just like, oh, I would like to just relax a little bit or talk to someone or talk to someone new, just socialize basically. And it was just too many stuff happening at once, basically. So yeah, that's just something that's not like kind of obvious. It's kind of obvious, but at the same time, I've seen that mistake happen more than once. So it's also something to beware of. And I think that's pretty much it. I think like keeping things simple and just having one planned activity while the rest is just natural and go with the flow. Oftentimes we just play board games. If your group is not like a board game type of group, then I guess you can have more activities. But yeah, it's really simple. Like most people naturally have fun at events as long as it's not like completely unplanned and unstructured without anything going on, which, yeah, I think that's it. Okay, hopefully you can find something useful in the tips that I've given, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.